There comes a moment in every life when you look around and realize this is not all there is. Something deep inside of you starts stirring, something restless, something that refuses to be confined to ordinary living. You were not created to simply exist, to just take up space, to survive from day to day. No, you were destined for more. I came to remind you that inside of you, there is a giant of purpose, a giant of vision, a giant of destiny. And it's time to awaken that giant within. Inside of every person, there is a hidden reservoir of greatness, a treasure that does not always show itself at first glance. Life has a way of convincing us that we are ordinary, that we are just one among billions, that our existence is nothing more than a cycle of waking, working, and waiting. But deep down, there is something greater, a seed of destiny that refuses to be ignored. When you feel that holy discontent in your spirit, when you sense that the life you are living cannot be all there is, that is the signal of the divine deposit. It is a whisper from eternity calling out to you, reminding you that you carry something the world has not yet seen. That uneasiness, that restlessness, is the evidence that you were designed for more than survival. You were created to manifest purpose, to release vision, to walk in an assignment that was sealed within you long before you were born. Recognizing this truth is the beginning of awakening the giant within. The danger is that many people walk through life unaware of what they carry. They compare themselves to others and assume that if their gifts don't look the same, then they must not have any. But the truth is, what you carry may not look like what anyone else carries. It may not fit into a box. It may not have a blueprint. It may not be celebrated yet, but that does not make it less valuable. Diamonds do not look like diamonds when they are buried in the dirt. Seeds do not resemble the trees they will become. The treasure within you is often concealed beneath layers of doubt, fear, and circumstance, but the deposit is there nonetheless. You may be working a job that does not reflect your true calling, living in an environment that does not match your potential, or surrounded by people who cannot see your worth. But none of these things erase the fact that you are carrying greatness. There are moments when life tries to trick you into believing that your worth is measured by what you produce, what you earn, or how people respond to you. If they do not clap for you, you start to wonder if you are worthy of applause at all. If opportunities pass you by, you wonder if you were ever qualified. If doors remain closed, you assume you are not meant to enter. But when you understand the divine deposit within you, you stop letting the world dictate your value. You stop waiting for permission to believe in yourself. You stop apologizing for dreaming big. The treasure in you does not depend on the acceptance of others. It does not diminish because of delay. It does not disappear because of rejection. It is still there, waiting for you to believe in it, waiting for you to nurture it, waiting for you to release it. That is why your spirit will not settle for mediocrity. That is why, even when you have achieved what others would consider success, there is still a tug, a pull, a hunger for more. It is not greed. It is not pride. It is not discontentment. It is destiny. It is the divine reminder that you were never designed to simply exist, but to leave an imprint. To awaken to this reality, you must silence the voices that try to make you feel unworthy. You must confront the lies that say your past disqualifies you, that your failures make you less valuable, that your flaws mean you are unfit for greatness. Every scar you carry, every mistake you have made, every trial you have endured has only added depth to the treasure within you. The cracks in your life are not there to expose weakness. They are there so that light can shine through. The recognition of the divine deposit within you changes how you see yourself. It shifts how you walk into rooms, how you handle challenges, how you respond to setbacks. When you know you are carrying something greater, you stop living as if you are empty. You realize that even when resources are scarce, vision is abundant. Even when support is limited, purpose is intact. Even when circumstances look impossible, the power within you makes all things possible. That power may be hidden, but it is not absent. It may be dormant, but it is not dead. It is waiting for you to acknowledge it, to stir it up, to give it permission to come forth. When you begin to honor the treasure inside of you, you stop settling for places that diminish it. You stop wasting time with people who cannot recognize it. You stop engaging in habits that suffocate it. You rise up and begin to align your life with the greatness you were born to release. You take the lid off your dreams. You allow yourself to imagine again. You give yourself permission to want more, to believe for more, to prepare for more. Because once you recognize the divine deposit, you realize that your life is not about fitting into the mold that others created, but about breaking out of it so the giant within can finally emerge. The most dangerous prisons are not built with bars of steel, but with thoughts that bind the mind and chain the soul. A person can be free physically, walking the streets, living their life, yet still be trapped in invisible walls created by fear, insecurity, and the opinions of others. These walls are built from words spoken long ago that still echo in the chambers of your memory. Voices that told you that you were not smart enough, not talented enough, not strong enough. Each time you accepted those words, another brick was laid. Each time you compared yourself to someone else and concluded you were less, another layer of mortar was spread. Over time, those limiting beliefs became the prison that holds back your potential. The giant within cannot stand upright in a cell built from lies. To awaken the fullness of who you are, you must tear down the false narratives that have convinced you to play small. From the moment you were born, the world began assigning labels to you. Some of them may have been positive, but many of them tried to restrict what you could become. Teachers who underestimated your ability, family members who doubted your dreams, environments that stifled creativity. Each of these experiences whispered messages that settled into your subconscious. Without even realizing it, you began to live out of those scripts, making choices that matched what others said you could do instead of what you were truly capable of. Limiting beliefs are not always shouted. Sometimes they are quiet agreements you make with the pain of your past. They creep in when opportunities arise, and you shrink back because somewhere deep inside you have believed the lie that you are unworthy. Breaking free begins with awareness. You cannot conquer what you refuse to confront. As long as you accept those limiting beliefs as truth, they will continue to dictate your actions. The mind is powerful. What you believe shapes what you attempt, and what you attempt shapes what you experience. If you believe you cannot, you won't even try. If you believe you are inadequate, you will sabotage your own success. If you believe that greatness is for everyone else but you will sit on the sidelines while others rise. But when you challenge those lies, when you question where they came from, when you measure them against the truth of your worth, you begin to dismantle the prison brick by brick. There is a moment in every life when you must make a decision. Will I continue to live under the ceiling that others built for me, or will I break through it and discover how high I can really rise? The giant within is suffocated by small thinking. It cannot stretch, it cannot grow, it cannot thrive where doubt reigns. Limiting beliefs demand that you stay average, but destiny demands that you step into the fullness of your design. The challenge is that breaking free is not a one-time event. Every new level you ascend to will confront you with new fears, new doubts, new voices telling you to stay where you are. The key is to keep renewing your mind, to keep replacing lies with truth, to keep reminding yourself that you were not created to blend in, you were created to stand out. Think about how many lives have been wasted because people believed the wrong story about themselves. Some never started the business, never wrote the book, never pursued the calling because they believed they were not capable. Others settled into jobs and relationships that did not match their purpose because they thought they could not have better. Some buried their talents because they were afraid of failure, never realizing that the greatest failure is to never try at all. What would happen if you stopped agreeing with the lies and started believing in the giant inside of you? What doors would open? What opportunities would unfold? What new dimensions of yourself would you discover if you refused to let small thinking limit a great destiny? The battle is not external, it is internal. It is not about fighting with people who doubt you, but with the thoughts that sabotage you. It is about rewiring the way you think, speaking life over yourself instead of death, nurturing vision instead of fear. It is about learning to stand tall even when your knees are trembling, because courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision to move forward in spite of it. Each time you step out of the cage of limiting beliefs, the giant within grows stronger. Each time you silence the voice of insecurity, the giant lifts its head a little higher. Each time you refuse to let the past define your future, the giant takes another step toward freedom. The truth is, the prison of limiting beliefs only has power if you accept its authority. The lock on the door is already broken, but you have to walk out. You have to believe that what is in front of you is greater than what is behind you. You have to recognize that the doubts you carry are not proof of weakness, but opportunities for faith to rise. The mind is the battleground, and when you win the war in your mind, you release the strength of the giant within to transform every other area of your life. There is a mysterious relationship between pain and purpose that cannot be denied. The very things that break you, the moments that make you question your own strength, the seasons where tears flow more freely than laughter, those are the places where destiny is formed. Pain has a way of pushing you into places you would never go on your own. It strips away comfort. It challenges assumptions. It stretches capacity. And in doing so, it awakens dimensions of strength you did not know you carried. Every great calling is born through a process, and every process requires pressure. Without pressure, seeds never break open to release life. Without heat, gold is never refined to its purest form. Without storms, roots never grow deep enough to anchor the tree. When life hits hard, the natural instinct is to run from the pain, to resist it, to avoid it at all costs. Yet pain, as brutal as it feels, often carries the very ingredients that develop character and resilience. The things that make you weep also make you wise. The experiences that bring you to your knees also teach you how to stand stronger. Pain births empathy, compassion, and the ability to connect with others on a level that comfort never could. You begin to realize that the suffering you endure is not simply about you, but about preparing you to serve someone else. People are drawn to authenticity, and authenticity is forged in the fire of struggle. There are times when pain feels like punishment, but it is actually preparation. The heartbreak that shattered your soul taught you how to value love in its purest form. The betrayal that cut you deeply taught you how to discern loyalty. The failures that embarrassed you and made you want to hide taught you perseverance and humility. Without those moments, the giant within you would remain untested and underdeveloped. Pain does not weaken you. It strengthens the giant to stand taller, to fight harder, to move forward with greater clarity. You are not defined by what happened to you, but by how you responded to it. Think about the way a pearl is formed. It is born because of an irritant inside the shell of an oyster. What began as an intrusion, an unwelcome pain, is coated layer by layer until something beautiful emerges. That is the way destiny works in your life. The irritants, the intrusions, the uninvited struggles, they all become the very substance that forms something valuable within you. Without the pain, the pearl would never exist. Without the irritation, the beauty would never be revealed. Pain also has a way of redirecting you. Sometimes you would have stayed in places that were beneath your destiny if it had not been for discomfort pushing you out. Sometimes you would have held on to relationships that suffocated your purpose if not for the heartbreak that forced you to let go. Sometimes you would have settled in jobs, environments, or mindsets that kept you small if not for the pain that reminded you that you were created for more. Pain refuses to let you stay where you are. It pushes, it provokes, it propels you into something greater. The paradox of pain is that while it wounds you, it also wakes you. The nights of anguish awaken mornings of vision. The struggles that make you cry out for relief also make you cry out for transformation. And in that cry, you discover a deeper connection to the source of your strength. Pain strips away illusions of self-sufficiency and reveals your need for grace, your need for faith, your need for something greater than yourself. It is in the dark nights of struggle that your character is carved, your resolve is tested, and your spirit is fortified. Many people try to numb their pain to bury it beneath distractions, addictions, or denial. But buried pain is not healed pain. It lingers in the shadows, shaping behaviors and limiting possibilities. Only when you face it, only when you lean into it, only when you allow it to teach you, does it transform into power. Pain carries lessons that comfort cannot teach. It shows you who your true friends are. It teaches you what truly matters. It forces you to clarify your values, to prioritize your time, to appreciate what once was taken for granted. The giant within you needs pain to awaken fully. Without it, you would never realize the depth of your endurance. Without it, you would never know the strength of your spirit. Without it, you would never be driven to reach beyond the surface of life and tap into the deeper wells of purpose. The scars you carry are not evidence of defeat. They are proof of survival, proof of growth, proof that you are still standing in spite of everything designed to break you. Every wound you endured carved out space for wisdom, resilience, and vision to flow. And though the pain was real, though the tears were genuine, what it produced in you is far greater than what it took from you. Courage is not born in moments of certainty, but in the midst of fear and doubt. It rises when everything around you tells you to stay still, to wait until the timing feels perfect, to hold back until every detail is figured out. But destiny does not wait for perfection, it waits for obedience. The giant within you will never awaken in the safety of comfort zones, because comfort zones are the breeding grounds of complacency. As long as you cling to what feels familiar, you will never step into what is extraordinary. Courage is the force that pushes you to take the first step when the path ahead is blurry, when the resources are scarce, when the approval of others is absent. Without it, the potential inside of you remains locked away, like treasure hidden in a vault that never sees the light of day. Fear will always whisper. It will tell you that you are not ready, that you are not qualified, that you are not capable. It will show you the failures of others and convince you that the same outcome awaits you. Fear feeds off hesitation, gaining strength every time you choose safety over risk. The longer you delay, the louder fear becomes. Yet courage does not require the absence of fear. It requires the willingness to move in spite of it. The difference between those who awaken the giant within and those who let it sleep is not talent, not opportunity, but the decision to act even when trembling. Stepping out takes faith, but it also takes resolve. It means being willing to look foolish before you look successful, to be misunderstood before you are celebrated, to walk alone before others recognize the vision. Greatness is rarely recognized in its early stages. The world often mocks what it does not yet understand. That is why many never step out, because they cannot bear the sting of rejection or ridicule. But when you understand that your calling is not validated by applause, you learn to keep moving forward regardless of who claps. Courage teaches you to value purpose above popularity, obedience above comfort, destiny above approval. There will be moments when you stand at the edge of possibility and everything in you wants to retreat. The security of the familiar calls louder than the uncertainty of the unknown. It is in these moments that courage must rise. It is not a feeling you wait for, it is a choice you make. You must decide that your destiny is worth the discomfort, that your purpose is worth the risk, that your calling is worth the criticism. Without that decision, the giant within you will remain dormant, confined by the walls of fear you refuse to confront. Every act of courage builds upon the last. When you take one step forward, even if it is shaky, it strengthens your resolve to take the next one. Momentum begins to build, and what once terrified you becomes manageable. Over time, the very places that used to intimidate you become the places where you now stand with confidence. That is the gift of courage. It does not just propel you forward. It transforms you in the process. You discover that you are stronger than you thought, braver than you imagined, more capable than you ever gave yourself credit for. Each courageous act awakens more of the giant within, bringing you closer to the fullness of who you were meant to be. The truth is that the opportunities of life rarely come wrapped in certainty. They often appear as challenges, as risks, as leaps that make no logical sense. If you wait until you feel fully ready, you will wait forever. Courage demands that you step while still afraid, that you leap while still unsure, that you build while still learning. The greatest innovators, leaders, and dreamers did not step out because they had no fear. They stepped out because they refused to let fear dictate their story. That same resolve is required of you if you are to awaken the giant within. Sometimes courage is not about taking a giant leap, but about making a steady step. It is found in the decision to keep showing up, to keep pushing forward, to keep believing when nothing around you suggests progress. Courage is waking up after failure and trying again. It is standing tall after being knocked down. It is continuing to dream when your last dream did not come to pass. Every act of persistence is an act of courage because it refuses to let fear or disappointment win. The giant within you will never be awakened by passivity. It responds to action, to bold moves, to risks that stretch your faith. Courage is the signal that tells your destiny you are ready. It is the key that unlocks doors that hesitation would keep closed. It is the weapon that silences fear and proves that what lies within you is greater than what stands before you. The journey ahead is not waiting for someone fearless. It is waiting for someone courageous enough to move forward while fear still lingers in the background. The company you keep has the power to either awaken the greatness within you or lull it back into slumber. No giant ever stands tall in isolation, and no destiny is fully realized without the influence of relationships. The truth is, you cannot consistently walk with people who are content to stay small and expect to live a life of expansion. The voices you allow closest to you shape the way you see yourself, the way you interpret challenges, and the way you respond to opportunities. Some relationships feed your purpose while others drain it. Some push you toward vision while others keep you shackled to fear. To rise into who you were designed to be, you must become intentional about surrounding yourself with people who nurture the giant within rather than suffocate it. There are those who see only your past and insist on defining you by where you came from. They will remind you of your mistakes, point to your flaws, and insist that you will never rise beyond your history. Keeping company with such voices will trap you in cycles of shame and regret. But when you walk with those who can see your future, they speak to the potential within you, even when your current reality does not yet reflect it. They call out the greatness in you when you are too wary to see it yourself. They challenge you to rise higher, to keep pushing, to refuse to settle. Their words carry the oxygen that your destiny needs to breathe. Your environment matters because iron sharpens iron. If you surround yourself with dull blades, your edge will eventually be blunted. If you spend too much time with those who are comfortable in mediocrity, you will start to believe that mediocrity is acceptable for you as well. But when you walk with visionaries, dreamers, builders, and warriors, their fire will ignite your own. Their energy will stretch your imagination. Their courage will inspire your boldness. Their victories will remind you that yours are possible too. The right relationships don't compete with you, they complete you. They don't pull you down, they lift you up. They don't drain your strength, they multiply it. There is also a danger in isolation. Some choose to walk alone, convincing themselves that solitude is safety. But in truth, isolation starves your destiny. You were not created to do life alone. Even the giant within you needs encouragement, accountability, and community. Without it, vision becomes distorted, purpose loses focus, and discouragement gains power. There are blind spots you cannot see about yourself, weaknesses you cannot overcome by yourself, and strengths you cannot maximize without the right people around you. Relationships are mirrors, and the right ones reflect the version of yourself that aligns with your destiny. At the same time, wisdom is needed in discernment. Not everyone who smiles in your face is invested in your future. Some are comfortable with you as long as you stay beneath your potential, but they become threatened the moment you rise. Others may enjoy your company, but cannot carry the weight of your calling. Some voices sound good, but lead you astray, speaking from jealousy, insecurity, or hidden agendas. The giant within you cannot flourish when fed with poison words. That is why discernment is vital, to know who belongs in your inner circle and who must remain on the outside. It is also important to remember that relationships are not just about what you receive, but about what you give. Awakening the giant within is not only about surrounding yourself with giant killers, but also about becoming one. There are people in your life who need your encouragement, your wisdom, your support. Just as you need others to sharpen you, there are those who will rise because you sharpen them. The exchange of strength, vision, and encouragement is what creates communities of destiny, groups of people who not only awaken their own giants, but help awaken one another. The voices around you will shape the voice within you. When you are weary, their words can be the fuel that helps you keep going. When you are afraid, their faith can steady your trembling hands. When you doubt yourself, Their belief in you can remind you of who you are. This is why you cannot afford to surround yourself with negativity, pettiness, or complacency. The giant within requires an atmosphere of faith, courage, and vision to grow. When you align yourself with the right people, you find yourself walking faster, dreaming bigger, reaching higher, and refusing to settle for less than what you were designed to be.